What is going on, folks? It is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm coming at you once again from the X-Lair to provide you my very deep and insightful thoughts into the most important thing that's ever happened to humanity ever! X-Men 97 dropped last night. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was very special. It was a very special time. It was a very special moment. I mean, I'm a lifelong X-Men fan. Obviously, you guys are clear. If you watch my YouTube channel, if you follow me on social media, you know that, like, the X-Men is, like, it's my blood, you know? It's, like, it's my DNA. It's who I am. You know, as far as, like, a fan, the fan side of me, right? The geek side of me, it's, like, it's deeply rooted in X-Men. X-Men is awesome. X-Men is important. There's an allegory there. It means something. But at the same time, it's like, my God, it's so cool, right? So it's like all these things like wrapped up into like the most, my favorite thing, my favorite thing in the world, the X-Men. Hello. It's been a long journey to get here. You know, Marvel went bankrupt in the 90s, sold off the film rights. Disney buys Marvel. They're like, don't make the X-Men important because we don't have the film rights. And so there was the Wolverine and the X-Men had finished its first season. It was a brand new cartoon that was actually really good. I'm not a fan of X-Men Evolution. I always thought it was too much trying to adapt like what was going on in the movies to something that was not broken. And it sort of broke a lot of it by, you know, giving us these different aged versions of the characters, like screwing with dynamics too much. It just was not X-Men. It was a different version. I know people grew up with it and they love it. And ultimately I did wind up loving aspects of that show. Like some of the key arcs in each season are magnificent. And I think Apocalypse in like the final season is probably the best depiction of Apocalypse we've seen. But it just wasn't my jam. And then Wolverine and the X-Men came out and I was like, this is my jam. This is great. And it sort of started to incorporate some of the stuff that was happening in the comics with Grant Morrison bringing in Emma Frost. And like, there was just a lot to really like there. And then like they had teased a second season that was going to be like the Age of Apocalypse. And everybody was like, yes, bitch, Age of Apocalypse, let's go. And then Disney buys Marvel, cancels it. They canceled the show, not because it's bad, but they didn't want to promote anything that they didn't own the film rights to, because they knew as far as like the balance sheet goes, like the movies are where the real money comes from. And if you are doing like a lot of promotion with the comic books, with cartoons, like you're really pushing characters that they don't own, therefore they're not profiting from, which is also competing against what they are pushing, which is like the Avengers, all the characters they had left when they sold off, you know, Spider-Man and Wolverine, the film rights in the 90s. Which they were making a thing, you know, like when they bought Marvel, like that's when Marvel had already started taking off, and then they really made a takeoff. You know, they funded these huge films, the Avengers, and we all know where it went. It went to the Infinity Song, and it was freaking amazing. It was the most successful thing that's ever been done in genre, in the superhero realm, and I tip my hat off to it. I think it's just magnificent. I love it. But a casualty of it was the X-Men, and we got these not terrible, but like not the best stories in the comics. For like nearly 10 years, the X-Men were suppressed as far as like their importance in Marvel. They were taken out of all like the character posters. They were not used to define the Marvel brand in any way, and the comics were lackluster. And then finally, you know, Disney buys Fox, which is something I never thought could happen. I never thought that, well, first of all, I never thought Fox would give Disney the film rights back, and then they did because they were bought. They were never going to do it autonomously, but because they were acquired by Disney, then Disney had the film rights. And all of a sudden, like, X-Men mattered again. It didn't matter right away, but Disney, you know, was going to get 100% behind these characters, and they were going to try to fix what they had intentionally broken. And they they had wiped out the existence of the X-Men in a whole generation. So there's like a whole generation of people that don't care about the X-Men. They don't care about Wolverine. They don't care about Cyclops. They don't care about Jean. They don't care about Storm. Just they really screwed themselves, and now they're doing everything they can to fix that because they know they have a golden egg with the X-Men. Like if they treat it well, then they can make it into something important again. And the thing that really truly made the X-Men a thing, it wasn't the comics, because comics are for comics people. It was the 90s cartoon. It was X-Men, the animated series. And so it's clear that, first of all, they acquired it, they opened up Disney Plus, they saw people were watching the show, and they realized this is the show that we need to use to kind of bring the X-Men back into the forefront of importance within the sphere of pop culture that, you know, if you're watching this video, like, you are deeply embedded in, just like myself. And so they decided to go back into production on this show, you know, in a glorious way. And I knew it was coming, and I was always so excited about it. It was really kind of unbelievable, like the idea that it could actually happen. But like, you know, like things kept moving along, and then, you know, you heard that things were happening, and it was just like, okay, well, I guess I guess it's gonna happen. Like, but you know, it's like until it actually happens, like it's just like you're not gonna just sit back and be like, yeah, this is happening for sure. Like you're gonna like, at least I was like, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. Like, this is too good to be true. If it actually happens, my goodness. But I'm comfortable with it not happening because I'd been living with disappointment with the X-Men for so long. Anyway, so when Marvel got the X-Men back, they actually started doing something really important in the comics. Like, that was their first step. Like, animation takes a while. So, and they couldn't incorporate the X-Men into the movies right away because, like, they have like this 5-year plan. Always, like, they're always sort of 5 years ahead. I'm sure that it's even more now. So what's the thing that they could do? Well, we could really do something interesting in the comics, and they did. They invented what's called the Krakoan Age, and this since 2019, we've had this wonderful next chapter of the mutant story in the comics that was reverent to the past. It was reverent to the present. It was magnificent. Where the storylines went wasn't perfect. The corporate machine trying to make unlimited amounts of money did sabotage it a bit by putting out too many books and not letting the story be concise and like just laser focused. Nonetheless, it's been a magnificent time in the comics. And so that was like the first gift of this whole era. And then, of course, obviously now we know that the X-Men and mutants are being incorporated into the MCU, which is like a really big thing. Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out soon. That's like the first big step. We've seen Xavier in Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2. And, you know, we saw Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, introduced as a mutant in her show. You know, that was something that happened concurrent. Actually, that's something that had not happened in the comics, but it has now happened in the comics, because she was initially intended to become a mutant when she was created, but because Marvel wasn't creating new mutants because they didn't want to push the IP because they didn't own the film rights, they didn't make her into a mutant. And then they sort of rectified that whole thing within her show and then also in the comics. And at the end of Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels, we see that Monica Rambeau has been thrown into an alternate reality, and she wakes up and it's Beast, Blue Beast, in like the sub basements of the X mansion, you know, and he looks great. He looks better than he's ever looked before. It's very akin to like what we see in the cartoon, but like the cartoon has been very clearly established as not canon to the MCU, which is good because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's just that's ridiculous. Nonetheless, like, the X-Men are coming. Deadpool and Wolverine, we haven't seen much as far as like what's going to happen in that movie, but it is rumored that we are going to see quite a bit, and it's going to be quite exciting. But right now, this is what we got. This glorious gift. Unfortunately, you know, in the weeks prior to this, just last week, we found out that Beau DeMaio, the executive producer, the writer, like, it just the showrunner, like the core guy who is who was the foundation for bringing like this iteration of the show to life. Even though there were a lot of creatives brought in as consultants, and maybe even have had a greater hand in the show to create it and to sort of expand like what was already established into this new era. Bo DeMaio is the guy that kind of put it all together. And I follow him on social media. He's a gay dude. I'm a gay dude. Like he's a very good looking guy and also big geek. And he's just been such a wonderful sort of beacon of information and hope for this series. Always kind of like being super passionate, communicating with the community, like always in touch. And then we find out last week or like a week and a half ago that he was fired from the show. He's written 2 seasons. They've produced 1 season. The scripts are done for the second, so I'm assuming they're being animated right now. And I just heard that the 3rd season has been greenlit, so they're going to start working on that as well. But unfortunately, the guy has been fired. There are rumors about, well, he had an OnlyFans. He did have an OnlyFans, but apparently, like, it wasn't nudity based. It was like, you know, it was provocative, but it was more about, it was not like what because OnlyFans can be anything. It doesn't have to be porn. And he had that, and he's like a very muscular guy, and he likes to show off. So I don't know, but we don't exactly know what went on behind the scenes. It could be something completely different that has nothing to do with that. Anyway, that sort of soured this whole thing to some extent, because like he's been very sort of prominent on social media, like kind of like when the trailer dropped, like he was sharing like all these reactions and all, like it was very much connected to him and his journey. Like the journey of the show was his journey, and that allowed us to go on that journey as well up until now, actually being able to go on the actual journey of the show. So, it's just that kind of put a dark cloud over the whole thing. Fortunately, it did not in any way undermine because this is like, okay, so like I was able to message him via like a special app that like gay dudes are on, that I happened to find him on, and like let him know, hey dude, I'm sorry for what happened, like just know that like we support you, we love you, like thank you so much for this gift or whatever. And he was like, you don't know how much he expressed appreciation for the message, and he said that the work is going to speak for itself, you know, that ultimately it is about the work. And it spoke for itself, man. It spoke for itself. Like I watched the first 2 episodes last night, as I'm sure a lot of you have. This is a non-spoiler review. I'm gonna have videos for each of the 2 episodes following this. All of them will be dropped at once. So if you wanna take a deep dive into those episodes with me, check out the rest of the videos that are on my channel right now. The show is magnificent. Like it's exactly what it needed to be, like meaning that it has everything that you would expect from this iteration of the X-Men, based on everything that came before in the animated series, the first 5 seasons. But it's been elevated, like beyond anything it's ever been before. Like I watched all 5 seasons. In fact, I finished season 5, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. This is not that. Like the level of polish, like the reverence, the epic scope of what is being presented is greater than anything we've ever seen from the show. So this is not that show. This is a completely different show. It is continuing the show. I mean, so if you have not seen that show, it's okay to watch the show because you're not going to be lost. It's sort of reintroducing you into this world. There are, you know, references made to things that happened in the past, but there were references made to things that happened in the past in episode 1 of that original show that had nothing to do with what was going on, and only comics people like would really understand those references. So it's about the characters. It's about the characters. It's about the milieu of living in a world that fears and hates them being the other, them being the marginalized group. It's about the allegory of like these characters, and this world represents all the characters and all the people and all the groups that have ever been kind of put to the sidelines, that have ever been stepped on by the dominant forces of a society. Like that is what this is about, and it is 100% still about that at its core. I mean, even just ostensibly, Like, it is about that. It has always been about that, and this show is about that. So you don't need to know anything moving into this, because you will learn everything you need to know from these first 2 episodes. From the first episode, you will get everything you need to understand. What is this world? Who are these characters? What is going on? Why is this important? Why does this matter? And why is this, most importantly, fucking awesome, bitches? My God, man. I'm not going to go into spoilers because I'm going to do that in the individual videos for each episode, but God, like, the things that happened, the way they were shown, like, and, like, my favorite character is Magneto, like, straight up, like, my favorite character is Magneto, okay? This is a shot from, so what they've done, and I can say this, is, like, first of all, the opening, okay? The opening credits is the same as the original show. Like, they reanimated it, but they made it glorious. It's the same music. It's everything we've seen, but, like, you know, there's, like, these little, you know, odds and ends that make it even cooler, and it looks fantastic. And what it appears is that they're going to keep changing it, because, like, even though it's the same credits in the second episode, like, because the story evolves somewhat, like, towards the end of the first episode, like, it incorporated, like, new elements. Like, it showed Magneto in the opening credits. Like, this is from that. So like, it's like the opening credits themselves, because they are legend, they are epic, they are iconic, they are part of why people love this show. The theme song, the opening credits, like, it's its own living thing as well. Like, it's going to change. It's going to morph. Morph is in this, and he has his own title card as well. It's going to be its own thing, and, like, you could just appreciate it on its own for being fucking awesome. So that's a magnificent thing. Yeah, it's just fantastic. The story, amazing. Like, just the character depictions, fantastic. A lot of the voice actors are back. People had some, you know, reservations about certain things. It doesn't matter. Is Rogue's ass as, you know, just voluptuous and, like, curvy as it was originally in the old show? No. And I understand all you guys out there, you horny guys out there, and women, or theys, that like the female form. I get it. I'm gay. I like men, okay? And when I see Gambit shirtless, looking all muscular, I'm like, yes, please. And Magneto and his tight, like, leotard thing, yes, hello. Like, of course, like that's all part of it, of course. But at the same time, like, who cares? Like, amazing. Like, there was so much love put into every little detail of the show, every little moment of the show, every moment. Like, it all mattered, and it mattered so much, and like, just, it was all like a celebration of these characters in every frame. It's just too good to be true, and, like, this is only 2 episodes. Like, I would be happy right now if this was like an hour. It's a little, I think it's around an hour together, like, hour movie, like, animated movie. I'd be like, this is fantastic. I couldn't have asked for more. But, like, we're getting 8 more episodes weekly. They're dropping them. I mean, this is knowing the last 30 years of the stories, knowing everything that's happened in the comics since that era, all the stories that they have to, like, cull from, to cultivate into adaptations for this show. Like, I'm just so excited the prospect of what could be coming next, you know? And, like, already it's just magnificent. Like, it is magnificent already. So what's going to happen next? I mean, Jesus, like, I can't, my mind is beyond blown. I'm so excited for the show. I'm so excited that all of us get to enjoy it, and that this is probably the thing I'm most excited about, is that a new generation of people will finally be able to, like, be introduced to the X-Men, to these characters, and love them in the way that we have all loved them throughout our lives. Because, like, there hasn't been a, like, gateway into these characters, into this world, that is to the level that could affect the zeitgeist, you know, like, just sort of like the pulse of what is current. There hasn't been anything until now. Now there is. Like, all we need is a bunch of kids to start watching the show, talking about it. Like, I mean, it's so badass. The characters are badass. Like, the themes are dark. You know, kids have been watching anime. Like, anime ain't for kids. It's for adults. There's some silly stuff in there. Fortunately, not a lot in here. But in anime, usually there's some silly stuff. But, like, there's a lot of serious stuff in those animes. And, like, that's the level of sophistication that kids expect in their animation. And that is what they're getting from the show. But they're getting something better because the X-Men are better than any anime they've ever seen. Did I just say that? Yes, I said that. I'll say it again. The X-Men are better than any anime out there ever. Okay, I love the Japanese. Okay, I watched Attack on Titan. I really enjoyed that. Robotech, Macross, big thing in my past. Always open to checking out new animes and whatnot. X-Men better than all that. Okay, done. All right, well, anyway, that is my non-spoiler little introductory video to X-Men 97, episodes 1 and 2. Out of 10 in season 1, because season 2 is coming. What's up? And then season 3 is happening. And then, you know, if this blows up, which I'm 90% confident it will, season 4 is going to come. Season 5 is going to come. Season 6 is going to... I mean, this ain't ending. And I ain't ending my excitement, which is very exciting. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out my video. Thanks for checking out my channel. If you haven't already, if you're watching this on YouTube, click a like down there. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think about the show. Huh? Share in the love with me. If you haven't already subscribe to my channel. Press that bell in YouTube to make sure that you get a notification when I drop the next videos covering the episodes of X-Men 97, because I will be covering them all, my friends. And then maybe I'll do like a live, a live stream at the end, you know, when it's all done. Like I want to start kind of doing like a live streaming thing. So maybe I'll do that. When it's done, but like I'll be dropping videos for every episode between now and then, so stay tuned for those. Hope everybody's doing well out there, and as always, I want to remind you, and so does Cyclops, because Cyclops is amazing, that if you haven't already, you better put an X in the box, because ain't nobody checking me. Ain't nobody checking me, and ain't nobody, actually everybody will be checking out this show. Take care. Bye-bye.